Hey guys, in this video we're going to be talking about what is upper cervical chiropractic. So it's a question I get a lot, and I think it's really important because chiropractic has a ton of different techniques available. There's over 200 different chiropractic techniques, and most people don't even know there's more than one technique. So the reason that I think this is so important is because most people, they go to a chiropractor, they get a chiropractic adjustment, and then the assumption is this is what chiropractic is. So there's a bunch, again, over 200 different techniques within chiropractic. I'm going to put them in a couple of broad categories today to help facilitate this whole discussion. What most people think of as chiropractic, or what they've seen for chiropractic, or what they've heard about from chiropractic is what's known as a full spine technique. So what's going on with the full spine technique is there's 26 bones in the human spine, and we're looking at bones segment by segment. So essentially there's different ways of evaluating, whether that's movement or using x-rays to determine the position, but the treatment and the assessment is done at that level by level basis. So then there's usually an adjustment at that individual level. So again, that can be any of the 26 bones in the spine. So I'd say 80% or more of chiropractic techniques are going to fit underneath that umbrella. So another category is upper cervical chiropractic techniques. This gets confused as well because upper cervical chiropractic is kind of the broad heading, and there's specific chiropractic techniques that fall under that heading. So what makes something an upper cervical technique? Well, just like all the techniques, there's differences between it, but the upper cervical techniques share some commonalities. The first is the perspective. And what I mean by that is all chiropractors are seeing spines that have twists and turns and bends and compression. So again, with a full spine technique, we're looking at and talking a lot about what's happening at that individual level. How do we move that individual level? With the upper cervical perspective, one of the big things that is different is we're really looking at things in the spine as a functional unit. So we're not just looking to move one bone, we're looking to do one adjustment that moves a lot of different bones or a whole system together. So it's a different perspective. Instead of viewing it as, hey, we got this one bone that's moving and we want to move that individually, we're looking at global posture, we're looking at the whole system and how do we move that together as a unit, which includes multiple bones at the same time. The other big thing that is included with upper cervical techniques is this appreciation for the neurology that's going on right here. And not that other chiropractors don't appreciate it, just it's really built into the adjustment and the goals of what we're going for. So what I mean by that is upper cervical techniques are looking a lot at the area that surrounds what's called the brainstem. Brain connects to your spinal cord right here at the top of the neck, and that connection point is called the brainstem. It controls about 80% of the stuff in your body that keeps you alive that you don't have to think about. Heart rate, digestion, sleep cycle, mood, the list goes on and on. One of the other things that's controlled there is the postural muscles of the body. So this is where it really comes into play for the upper cervical chiropractors. Because again, we see there's hips hiking up, there's shoulders compressing. And so one of the more common questions we get is, well, I have low back pain. Like, why would I go see an upper cervical chiropractor? Well, compression's happening in the low back, but then the question is, why is that hip coming up or why is that compression happening? And we see that if the brainstem's irritated, it pulls tight on the muscles on one side of the body more than the other, the hip hikes up, and then suddenly it's like, man, I stretch, I try to move, and it always comes back to this compressed position. What upper cervical chiropractors find oftentimes is that if we remove the stress off the brainstem, that tension isn't there, boom, this opens up and the low back suddenly starts feeling a lot better. So again, really looking at and using the neurology of the brainstem to influence the body globally is something that upper cervical chiropractors are really looking at a lot. The last thing is built right into the name. The adjustment for upper cervical chiropractic adjustments is happening in the upper cervical spine. There's variations from technique to exactly how this happens. I myself practice a technique called NUCA. I'm going to make a separate video that goes more into detail there. But again, all upper cervical chiropractors are looking really closely at that upper cervical spine to evaluate and deliver that adjustment. So again, there's a bunch of different techniques within upper cervical. The biggest ones, or the more common ones you'll probably have heard of or hear about, is NUCA, AO, which is also called Atlas orthogonal, Blair, and orthospinalogy. And there's others too, but those are ones that come up pretty commonly. So let me know if you have any questions in the comments. I really wanted to give you this overview because if nothing else, I want people to take away that chiropractic has a bunch of different things to offer, different ways of evaluating, different ways of treating. And from that perspective, if you've had a chiropractic adjustment before, that's not the only thing that chiropractic has to offer. So again, let me know if you have any questions in the comments. If you want to stay up to date on more information, make sure you're subscribed. I'm going to be coming out with the Nuka video next and talking more about what the Nuka technique is and what sets that apart from other techniques.